We get that one a lot. That's the flip to the back of the proposal question.
Yeah,
we try to answer as honestly as we can, knowing that there is no single answer to it. So now that we've told them how much it's going to be compliant, the next question I usually get is, how can I afford to do that? How can I afford to become compliant?
So the easy thing is, how can you afford not to? You love your business, you want it to succeed, but I think you really need to break this down. Use your 3-bucket analysis. How am I going to pay for that assessment? How am I going to get there? Well, one of the things that we've learned over time is that there are programs out there that states are running. The programs, the grants are all over the map. Maybe they're state run, that maybe there's some private funding behind them, but they will pay for assessments and even potentially projects or portions of projects moving forward, depending on the size of the grant, the size of your organization, how big the projects are. But I think that's a great resource to use to dive in and start understanding, exactly like you said, Mike, where am I? Where do I stand today? Because you can't do anything else until you figure that out.
Yeah,
and you'll never know where you
I think it's important on that grant stuff. Obviously, they're all different. But 2 common things that I've seen in there, generally there's a cap on it, 10 grand, something like that.
10 grand, 20 grand, but it's not, they're just going to give you a pool of money regardless.
No, and the other factor that I've seen in some of those, it's a matching grant that says, okay, we'll pay 10,000 of that 20,000 project because they want to know you've got skin in the game. You're not just out there using up their money.
Yeah, so I think that's really important to understand. That resource is out there, but you're going to have to plan for what's my investment going to be. But I think you really have to understand, what do I have at risk? What portion of my business exists in this defense industrial base? Is this 5% of my business? Is it 55% of my business? Is it 95% of my business, where if I don't do this, I don't have a business? To determine how critical is it for you to go down this path. And we've talked to people that have said, this is only 10% of my business. Well, it may not be worth going through the compliance effort if 10% of your business could go away tomorrow and it doesn't have a life and death determining factor associated with it. If your business is going to move along and you're willing to let that go, maybe that's a business decision you have to make.
Well, and percentage obviously is of the whole. And if you talk to let's say a $1 million manufacturer, 10%, $100,000, this is likely going to cost you more than that by the time you're done.
And 100,000 is top line sales. That's not what your margin is making on it. So you got to
10% of $1 billion company.
Hey now.
Right. So it's you really have to look at the individual needs of the organization, and does the math make sense?
Hey, we talked to a $1 billion company that it's probably 5% of their business, but it's a $1 billion company that has 5% of their business wrapped up in this. And they've got thousands of employees and a little pocket, but this business is important to them. Right. It's something they're trying to grow.
That's the key, right? It's something where it's a business they want to be in.
Yeah.
Something they like.
They made a conscious decision about it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think that's really critical.